Welcome to another episode of Video Game Reviews, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Panzer Paladin on the Nintendo Switch. Man, this video is way overdue. It's way overdue, man, and the reason for that is I've already actually done this once, and I didn't like the audio recording. I mean, I like the content. You know, I touched on a lot of points, some of which I might miss right now because I'm just going off the cuff, but the delivery was just super extra dry on that one, and I knew that I was going to have to re-record it, and I hate doing re-records. Like, once I've laid something down, like, I don't want to have to go over it again. So I've kind of been dreading this. But good news, I wasn't dreading this game because it's kind of awesome. So as you're watching the footage here, you're going to be able to make a lot of comparisons to a lot of classic games. It's sort of like they took like an A-list of NES games and put them in a blender and came out with this little indie gem. And speaking of indie gems, this game is kind of surprising to me because it should be recognized as an indie gem, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't been. But it's got a lot of the earmarks, a lot of the things that sort of define which indie games are going to be set apart as kind of a underground classic. But this one just, now it may have been really successful on other platforms such as Steam or maybe Xbox or PlayStation, but I really don't hear too many people talking about it on the Switch. So, you know, let me try to change that, right? So as I mentioned, you're going to see a lot of features from classic games, and here you're going to see little hints of Castlevania, Blaster Master, Metroid, Bionic Commando, sort of, maybe a little bit. The list goes on and on. Just a lot of classic inspirations being represented here. Also, so let's see. So you've got, I don't want to spend too much time on this recording because, like I said, the other one dragged on too long. So I want to keep it moving and wrap it up here pretty quick. But essentially, you're this little female android who has a giant mech suit that you can get in and out of, and she has sort of like a whip for a weapon, and every stage in the game has a segment in which you have to get out of your mech and run around as her for a bit. And then the mech itself, so you hear mechs and you think, guns and lasers and missiles and all that, but in this game, your mech actually uses melee weapons, like fantasy-based, which the title of the game, Panzer Paladin, kind of alludes to. So you've got swords and axes and clubs and all those classic role-playing game type of weapons. And so the weapons serve multiple purposes in the game. And so one of them is actually to activate checkpoints. You have to sacrifice a weapon to enable a checkpoint. So that's kind of a risk versus reward mechanic. And while I'm on that point, I do want to mention probably the roughest thing about this game is the fact that there are very few checkpoints. I think, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but I think most stages only have 1 or 2 checkpoints in the entire stage, and they're pretty long stages. So there's a lot of, if you die, there's like a lot of covering ground that you've already covered before. Which is one of my pet peeves, but the game, aside from that, is so well executed that I can look past that, and I can, like I said, that's a pet peeve of mine, so I very rarely can look past that. But what you have here is really just a heck of a game. The other thing that I want to say about the melee weapons is that you can sell them to power up your mech, so like basically to increase your mech's HP. Which I definitely advise doing. And then the last thing is, obviously you use them as weapons, but every weapon has a stamina bar, and so every weapon in the game can break. So that's something, to be aware of, and that can also be a factor in determining which weapon that you want to sacrifice to activate the checkpoints. Oh, right, I almost forgot. The other thing that you can do with these weapons is every weapon you can break intentionally, and if you break a weapon, it basically casts a spell, but it's like a one-time use because, you know, obviously you just broke the thing that cast the spell. So you can do that as well, and you've got, you know, like offensive spells, you've got heal spells, you've got stat buff spells, and again, your use of those is strategic. Like, on the one hand, you want to hang on to a really good weapon, but on the other hand, like, you might really need that heal spell. So there it is, man. I mean, that's basically the gist of the game. You've got some great boss fights. It took me a little while to really get into this game, but once I did, I was able to really, really appreciate it. And honestly, I would recommend this one as a purchase. You know, you can stick it on your wish list and wait till it goes on sale. Then it's 100% buy this thing. Or, you know, if you want to buy it full price, honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what the full price was, but I think it's around 20, maybe 15 to 20. Was it 20? It could have been as expensive as 25, but whatever it is in that range, like, I just remember it was definitely worth it. So check it out. Like I said, the only thing that's gonna put some people off, I think, is the old school, like, having to repeat yourself, having to go over, like, cover the same terrain again because you died and the checkpoint was 5 minutes ago. So that can lead to basically shutting the game off and walking away from it. But hopefully you come back to it, because I'm here to tell you it can be done. I've finished this game, and when you do, it's got one of the best endings that I've seen in a long time. And on that note, I think my final point for this game is going to be this. I have, from time to time on this channel, I have talked negatively about anime. I don't enjoy... Like, I've talked negatively about anime. I don't enjoy anime, but it's not actually the art style that I dislike. It's usually the voice work in animes. Like, all the voices are really high-pitched and hyper and obnoxious, and it just instantly, like, there might be a great story buried in that anime, you know what I mean? There might be some really rich characters, but the voices just shut me down, man. I just can't deal with it. But in games like this, games that are paying homage to old school, let's say Genesis, Super Nintendo, or even NES games with anime style still art cutscenes, I love that. It's a great look, and it's you know, and it looks great here. So anyway, that's it, man. This recording's gone on for 9 minutes now. That's like way too long. I'm sure I'll be able to cut it down somewhat in editing, but let's call it a day. So please click like and subscribe and click that little bell notification, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.